Hello, and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Cleanne Chiarico, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension. And in this case, I will start with a question from Amanda that I've already answered before, but it does allow us to move into the follow-up questions. So I thought it was pertinent to repeat it. And we'll be talking basically about the 12,000. And I know that many of you have questions about them, so I figured that this was a good way to get us started. Before we move forward, please, I would like to ask you to kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Also, do leave me a comment below to let me know how this, if this information resonates and or what you're going through. And do give this video a thumbs up because it does really help me. All right, so let's jump in. So the hypnotist, in this case, the person asking the questions is Lorraine. This was a BQH session, which means it was done virtually. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking about myself under hypnosis. So the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. And if you watch any of my previous videos, you already know all this spiel, but just in case it's your first time here. And if it is, welcome. All right. So this is the question from Amanda that basically started this entire conversation with the 25th. She asked, do the 12,000 all know who they are? Are they aware by now of who they are? Me. The 12,000 might not consciously know who they are, but they all know who they are and they're all questioning. Yes. And the moment that you question, you can find out very quickly. Lorraine, is it important for us to consciously know that we are one of the 12,000 before this takedown? And if so, why? Me. It is not necessary to consciously know. However, it will be helpful in that once you do know, just like what's happened to Clea, you will be focusing on it and you will be more focused on what you can do. I find it easier to maintain a certain frequency, and therefore this can be very helpful. This is the reason why many of the 12,000 are questioning, to wake themselves up to this piece of knowledge if they don't already know. But we will do our work no matter what. You don't have to be consciously aware of being one of the 12,000. And I think this is important to know because many of us stress ourselves out trying to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. And it's all in the flow. Whatever you want to consciously be aware of is what will come to you. But if you are questioning, and this is the message that they're trying to give us, if you are questioning, it's because perhaps your higher self wants you to be aware of a certain situation. So all you have to do is connect to your higher self. And how do you do that? There are a million ways of doing that. What I do is I connect to my heart, and you don't have to be sitting in the lotus position meditating for 5 hours. You can just intentionally, breathe deeply, relax, ask the question intentionally, and intend to receive an answer because our highest self always answers. Okay, just because we don't notice the answer doesn't mean that your highest self hasn't answered. And so maybe make rules for yourself, but say, hey, I want to know this in a way that even I can figure out that you answered. I many times have asked, say, hey, I'm a little bit thick and I can't tell sometimes when you're trying to tell me, can you please make it more obvious for me? Okay. And I joke about it because I'm always joking with my highest self. I don't take things that seriously because otherwise we stress ourselves out. Okay. We doubt ourselves. So I sometimes will make rules like, okay, I need to know within the next 3 days, or I expect to see it when I go pick up my daughter, maybe show me a billboard. Make rules so that you are paying attention. That's all these rules do, allow you to focus in a conscious manner to where you're paying attention and you know when you get the answer, okay? Because we often ignore the answer. Are the 12,000 always the same essences from the beginning, or does the role get reassigned when one no longer wants to be one of the 12,000? Me. Most of the 12,000 have been here since the beginning of the matrix. However, it is possible for an essence to choose to have a different experience. In fact, I'm getting that this has happened a handful of times, where an essence chose no longer to be one of the 12,000. Being one of the 12,000, as we've explained before, is simply a type of chore. Sorry, guys, my transcript sometimes is a little iffy. As we explained before, it's simply a type of chore, a type of duty that you have, a type of function. There are many, many functions in the multiverse. Being one of the 12,000 is not special. It's not a It's not something that every essence aspires to be or to do. And some of the 12,000 have chosen to have different roles in the multiverse. And this is all allowed. But most, the vast majority of the 12,000 have been here since the beginning doing the same job. Lorraine, has it ever happened that a light worker no longer wants to be a light worker? And if so, why did it happen? And she's saying light worker in reference to the 12,000, as you know, and you would know if you watched previous videos, but if you haven't, that's why I wanna briefly clarify this. When the 25th speaks about light workers, they're referring to the 12,000. Basically, they're saying there's only 12,000 light workers. But in the general sense of the term, people working on the side of the light, there are infinite numbers in the multiverse, and they do explain this, but I wanted to clarify just in case, so you know that we're still focusing on the 12,000 here. We're trying to figure out what happens basically if one no longer wants to be a light worker or one of the 12,000. Me. Yes, so we did explain this happen a handful of times, and it happens because the light worker chooses, and we're using the light worker in terms, so we're using the term light worker in terms of one of the 12,000. There are many, many light workers in the multiverse, especially since there is more light and dark in the multiverse in higher dimensions. And so the polarity is tending towards the light. But the handful of light workers of the 12,000 that have not been wanting to do this anymore is because they chose to have a different experience. They have enjoyed their experiences as one of the 12,000, and then they just chose not to do that anymore. And it's perfectly allowed. The essence is free to do whatever it wants. There is no judgment. And again, there is no special reward for being one of the 12,000. It's just one of the many functions available, one of the many experiences available in the multiverse. And this is important because I know that we are so excited about the 12,000 as if they're all there, if that's all there is available here. And it just isn't true. It's just that I think on this planet, we just get excited. We want to think that there's some people are better than others. I think this is all it is. But the fact is, we're all ascended masters. Nobody's any better than anybody else. So whether we are consciously aware or not of the work that some people are doing in the background, we're all doing work in the background. Okay, so I do ask these questions about the 12,000 because again, everybody's interested, and also because I happen to have been told that I'm one of them, but I have no conscious knowledge of this beyond the fact that I've been told by the 25th. So it's not like I feel any different than what I did before. However, for those of you who do want to know if you are or not, all you have to do is ask. Again, you will get the answer if you're meant to know. And you do know behind the scenes. Obviously, we're talking consciously now. Lorraine, thank you. So would that mean that there are more than 12,000 light workers? And if so, how many light workers are there in the multiverse? Me. So in the strict sense of the word, where we talk about the 12,000, there are only 12,000 in the entire multiverse. So when we say light workers in reference to the 12,000, meaning that they're actually workers that work for the light in this particular function, it's only the 12,000 in the entire multiverse. And they will go to different places and do different things depending on what the situation calls for. But in terms of the general term of light worker, as people on the side of the light, there are infinite numbers of light workers, almost infinite numbers of light workers in the multiverse, because the light is more than the dark in the multiverse. Or I should say, the polarity is not as unbalanced towards the dark as on this planet. And therefore, there are many, many more people in the multiverse working on the side of the light. Lorraine, you told us that CLEA'S other 4 teammates, who are also watchers and who she's meeting in the 14th dimension, are not incarnated on Earth now. But since all 12,000 are on Earth at this time, are her teammates not part of the 12,000? Can someone be a watcher while not being a light worker? What she's referring to is, if you've seen my very first hypnosis session, which I released, I want to say in November, but the hypnosis session was done in August last year. They said that basically the first thing I saw is that I was in the 14th dimension meeting with 4 other people. And basically I was told that we are watchers. So, and I was actually reporting back on what's happening on this planet at this time, or what was happening at that time, and everything was going according to plan. And so I am being told that I'm also a watcher, but again, just like being a light worker, being a watcher is just another job. And there are many watchers in the multiverse. Every planet has watchers. And so the question here, we just want to know, do you have to be a light worker to be a watcher, basically? Because it seems that, because we're told that all 12,000 are incarnated here, but my 4 teammates, the rest of the watchers are not incarnated in this time frame, let's say. And so I'm like, okay, so maybe you don't have to be one of the 12,000. I wanted to know, hence this question, me. Yes, that is correct. So yes, the other watchers are not one of the 12,000, and that's perfectly okay. Again, that's just a function. And yes, it's just a coincidence that Clea is both a watcher and a light worker. She just likes this particular role. So that's what she plays. But you don't have to be a light worker to be a watcher, or vice versa. These are just different jobs, so anyone can do them. Anyone who has interest and the training, the ability to handle this function, will be able to do them. And the other watchers are not part of the 12,000. Of the 12,000, they were not interested in this. Lorraine, thank you. Since the 12,000 are all here at this time, and you said that most of us will move to New Earth, is it a big deal that so many will be on New Earth at the same time? Me. It is a big deal in the sense that normally the 12,000 are not, I don't know what this transcript is doing to me. Guys, technology is it's not super friendly these days. I don't know what is going on. All right, so it is a big deal in the sense that normally the 12,000 are not in the same place because something exciting, or are all in the same place because, oh goodness gracious, guys. Okay. Are all, okay. All right, I'm gonna repeat this. So is it a big deal that all 12,000 or most of the 12,000 will be on New Earth? It is a big deal in the sense that normally the 12,000 are all in the same place because something exciting is happening, which is absolutely what is happening on this planet right now. So it will be a big deal, of course. It is a big deal every time the 12,000 are together. So of course, it's going to be, quote unquote, a big deal that they will be on New Earth. But really on Earth, on New Earth, we're going to be on vacation. So we're not there. Everybody's aware that nothing is going on. At the same time, keep in mind, New Earth is a new experiment. Everybody's watching it. So it will take, what will be on vacation, it would also take a certain type of essence being interested in a certain type of experience, which is unusual. It's a type of experience that has been unusual so far in the multiverse. And therefore, it will take a certain type of essence that, again, can handle this type of situation or is interested in handling this type of situation. Many souls, as you know, many essences, as you know from this planet, are not interested in going to New Earth. So, of course, the 12,000 are mostly moving there because they have the personality, if you wish to call it that, or the interest in this type of experience. Of course, there's more than them. There will be initially 3.5 million people. There are 3.5 million souls, essences from this planet right now who have the interest, the propensity, and the ability to go to New Earth and set up this new planet and put it on a path of being very different from everywhere else in the multiverse. And therefore, this is a big deal. But everybody who is going to be on New Earth is going to be a big deal. All of it is a big deal. New Earth is a big deal. Lorraine, it's an exciting time. Claire would like to know what other things the 12,000 do in addition to creating planets, dimensions, and also taking them down. Me. The 12,000 have different functions in addition to what you mentioned, in the sense that they're kind of, what's a good word for this? They're kind of the emergency services. So what they do is anything that comes up that requires attention, that requires a rebalancing or resolving, that cannot be handled by a civilization on a certain planet, the 12,000 will help with that. The 12,000 are almost like a buffer. They're almost like the ultimate or the last solution to certain situations. So the 12,000 are always ready to, they're like emergency services. They're always ready to intervene if their attention is needed. Luckily, this doesn't happen very often. The matrix is very self-sustaining and self-managing in many ways. And of course, many civilizations are more than capable of calibrating and integrating on their own. However, the 12,000 are always on standby to help them when help is needed. So in addition to creating dimensions, creating planets, and all logistics of maintaining, if you wish, or engineering or envisioning or building the matrix, the multiverse, they also are on standby to step in should something go, not go as desired by a certain civilization. If, of course, if the civilization requires it. At the same time, we always want to honor the free will of a civilization, of a planet. At the same time, keep in mind that the 12,000 are tasked by the 25th to not allow the matrix to collapse. And therefore, there are some safeguards in place with the 12,000, basically. By the 12,000, where we don't really want to let things go overboard. And that's why they're ready to step in. But normally we have watchers that will alert. There is almost like, if you like to think of it this way, there is almost like, I think it's called an alarm system or an alert system, like in Asia. They have tsunami alert systems. And so there are these systems in place for the matrix so that we don't get into a tough spot like we have with this planet. With this planet, somehow things went very wrong, and we have tried to fix this. The 12,000 have been here. We're just not being able to do it. And that's why the 12,000 eventually, it was decided that they would take this down, that we would take this down. Lorraine, I like the idea of emergency services for essences, and she was laughing. Okay, Claire would like to know, you had said in the past that most, but not all of the 12,000 will be going to New Earth. She would like to know where the others will be going, and will they still be on quote unquote vacation? Me, laughing. So they will be quote unquote on vacation for the simple reason that there is no other emergency, luckily, and they were laughing again, happening in the multiverse at this time, or nothing that would require the attention of all 12,000. However, these few essences have decided that they don't necessarily need or want their experience of being on New Earth, basically rubbing our bellies. And they were laughing again. This is mostly, if you want to look at it if you want to continue our work analogy, we're going to be on vacation. We're not going to be doing anything. Of course, we're going to do amazing, incredible work in terms of playing with energy. But from the perspective of a worker, like one of the 12,000, they might think, okay, I don't need to do that. That's not, that's not the experience that I need to have. And therefore, a few of the 12,000 have decided they're just going to go hang out somewhere else. And it's perfectly acceptable. They will be on vacation in terms of their function. They're not going in official function, so to speak. They're just going to have another type of experience somewhere else. But it will be equivalent to a vacation in that sense. They're not being called somewhere else. They're just going to hang out in a different place, just not on your Earth. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.